A 24-year-old man swallowed a fat burner pill to get shredded for the summer, and 8 hours later he was lying in an emergency room at 2 in the morning, cooking from the inside while no amount of ice could bring his temperature down. Before we step into that room, if real medical case studies like this one are exactly what you came here for, subscribing genuinely helps us keep making them. 2 in the morning. The doors bang open, and a young man is wheeled in on a gurney, soaked through with his own sweat. We'll call him J.M. His shoulder-length light brown hair is matted flat to his forehead. His plain, neutral top clings to an average build, wringing wet. Under the harsh overhead light, his warm hazel eyes are open and darting, and the faint laugh lines at their corners belong to someone who, 12 hours ago, was just an ordinary guy going about his day. Now his skin is scalding to the touch. Not warm. Scalding the way a fresh mug of coffee is too hot to hold. A 24-year-old man, we'll call him J.M., presented with 3 things: relentless overheating, a racing heart, and profuse diaphoresis. It sounds like something rare and dangerous, but break the word down and it just means sweating. Heavy sweating. Sweating so heavy the sheets under his body are soaked through, dark and dripping. The monitor beside the bed tells the rest in numbers. His heart is hammering near 160 beats a minute. That's almost twice what yours is doing right now, sitting still. And his core temperature has already climbed past 41 degrees Celsius. Still rising. So the nurses do the obvious thing. They pack him in ice. Ice at his neck, ice under his arms, ice around his torso, more and more of it, and the ice melts. Water pools on the floor under the gurney, spreading out in the harsh light. They add more, that melts too. And the number on the thermometer keeps ticking upward anyway, as if the cold were never there at all. If you've ever taken a supplement without reading exactly what is inside it, stay with this one. Here is what the people in that room slowly began to understand, standing ankle-deep in melted ice with a young man burning up in front of them. This heat was not coming from the room. It was not a fever. A fever is your body turning up its own thermostat on purpose, cranking up the heat to cook off an invader, some bacteria or a virus that got inside. So they looked. They swabbed him. They ran his blood. They searched for the infection that had to be there. And there was nothing. No infection anywhere in his body. Nothing to fight. The heat was coming from somewhere else entirely, from inside his own cells. Feel how strange this is? His fever is not an infection fighting back. It is his own body making heat it cannot stop. Every cell you have is a tiny engine, quietly burning fuel to keep you alive. His engines were still running. They were just running wrong, producing heat, and only heat, with the throttle jammed wide open and nobody's hand on it. And that is the question that pulls this whole story forward. How does a young, healthy man, no infection, no wound, nothing to fight, start cooking himself from the inside out? They brought in cooling blankets, and for one breath, it seemed to work. The temperature dropped a single degree. Somebody in that room exhaled. Then the number climbed again, higher than before, because whatever was generating this heat had no off switch, and it had started working 8 hours earlier. Long before he was ever wheeled through those doors. That single degree of relief lasts seconds. The cooling blanket pulls him down one notch, the readout drops, and for a breath the room believes it is winning. Then the number climbs again, higher than before. It is as if the heat is being made faster than the machines can carry it away. And it is. Because somewhere inside JM's body, something is burning that no blanket can reach. The ice on his skin keeps melting into warm water. The nurses replace it. It melts again. And here is the answer to the question the ice kept asking. The cold is not failing. It's being overwhelmed. His own cells are making heat quicker than the whole room can steal it back. This is not a fever the way you know a fever. Take the word itself. Hyperthermia. Hyper, above, beyond. Thermi, heat. Above, heat. A body pushed past the temperature it was ever built to hold. An ordinary fever tops out near 40 degrees and answers to cold. This one laughs at cold. So the doctors go looking for the why. And the first real clue is not on any scan. It's a story. 8 hours before he reached that emergency room, JM wanted to get shredded for a summer photo shoot. Ring light, mirror, the gym at the end of a long cut. He was close. He wanted closer, faster. so he ordered capsules online, plain bottle, no real label, and swallowed them. The pills were DNP, 2,4-dinitrophenol, a fat burner sold quietly across the internet and banned for human use since the 1930s. You've almost certainly seen a pill like this advertised. Melt fat effortlessly. Keep that phrase in mind. To understand what was happening, the doctors had to rule things out, one by one. Watch how they think here. The speed of a symptom tells you what can and cannot cause it. Sepsis first. An infection so overwhelming the whole body catches fire with it. But sepsis builds over days. It creeps. JM went from fine to scalding in a matter of hours. Wrong speed. Crossed off. Thyroid storm next. The thyroid is your body's throttle, and jammed wide open, it really can cook a person from the inside. So they drew his blood. His thyroid hormones read normal, not the throttle. Crossed off. Serotonin syndrome. Certain drug combinations can flood the nervous system and spike both heat and heart rate, almost exactly like this. But that needs the drugs. JM was on no such medications. Crossed off. Malignant hyperthermia, a rare inherited reaction that turns living muscle into a furnace. Real, deadly, and triggered by anesthesia. JM had no surgery, no anesthesia, nothing to pull the trigger. Crossed off. 4 names on the whiteboard, 4 lines drawn through them. By Occam's razor, the simplest answer that fits every fact, only one thing was left standing. Something that could explain both the timeline of hours and the impossible ice-proof heat. Not an infection, not a gland, a poison. A poison that hijacks metabolism itself. That was the turn. This was never a fever to break. There was nothing to break. This was a chemical reaction running inside his muscles and his organs, making heat the way a fire makes heat, because it had fuel, and it would not stop until the fuel was gone. The doctors finally knew the kind of thing they were fighting. They still could not stop it. Which raises the next question. If they knew it was a metabolic poison, why not simply give the antidote? One poison fit the timeline of hours, and the heat no ice could touch. DNP. 2,4-dinitrophenol. And to understand why there is no antidote, why a cooling blanket, an IV, a whole intensive care unit could not pull him back, you have to go back to a Stanford laboratory in 1933, and then down into a single human cell to a microscopic turbine that DNP tears open. Stanford, 1933. 2 researchers, Maurice Tainter and Windsor Cutting, hand patients a new pill they truly believe is a miracle. Dinitrophenol. It burns fat faster than anything anyone has seen. People drop weight in weeks. Word spreads fast. Within a couple of years, it's everywhere. Weight loss clinics, mail-order catalogs, tens of thousands of Americans swallowing it to slim down. And Tainter and Cutting were not villains. They were careful scientists who thought they had found something wonderful. Then the reports start coming in. Patients running fevers so high their bodies simply gave out. Others going blind. Cataracts clouding their eyes almost overnight. By 1938, dinitrophenol is pulled from human use. Banned. A poison dressed up as a diet drug. Same molecule, same heat. Almost 100 years later, it was sitting in JM's bloodstream. To see why it kills, you have to go smaller than the eye can follow, down into a single cell. Every cell you have runs a set of tiny power plants. The mitochondria. Millions of them, humming away right now as you watch this. Here's how they make energy. Inside each one, there's a membrane. The cell pumps particles called protons across that membrane, packing them up on one side, like water building up behind a dam. Then it lets them flow back, and on the way back, they pass through a turbine. Scientists call it ATP synthase. The protons spin it, and that spinning stamps out ATP, the fuel your body runs on. Every heartbeat, every thought, every breath you take. Strip that fuel away and nothing works. Not a muscle, not a nerve, nothing. Now the sabotage. DNP punches holes in that membrane. Picture a turbine in a dam. Now picture someone drilling holes in the wall beside it, so the water just roars past, uselessly. That is DNP inside every cell he had. The protons stop waiting for the turbine. They leak straight through the holes, doing no work at all. And the energy that was supposed to become fuel, it has to go somewhere. so it comes out as pure heat. Doctors have a name for this: uncoupling. Uncoupling. The two halves of the machine, the pumping and the fuel making, ripped apart from each other. The engine keeps running. It just stops making power and starts making fire. And here is the part that seals his fate. There is no antidote. Once the membrane is leaking, there's nothing to plug the holes, nothing to switch off. Cooling blankets, ice baths, cold saline, doctors can fight the symptom on the skin, but they cannot reach the source. The reaction runs until the cell burns itself out. That is why the ice never stood a chance. Back in the hospital, JM's condition unraveled. His core temperature climbed to 43 degrees Celsius. His muscles began to dissolve. Rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdo, rod-shaped. Myo, muscle. Lysis, breaking apart. His muscle fibers were coming apart and spilling into his blood. Then his organs began to fail, one by one. And within 12 hours of the moment he was carried through the doors, he was gone. He was young. 8 hours before all of this, he had swallowed those capsules with a summer photo shoot in his head. The drug did exactly what it promised. It burned. It just didn't stop at fat. There was never a version of this night where the cold could have won. The heat was never in the room. It was in every mitochondrion in his body, all of them at once, every furnace lit, with no switch to turn it off. A shredded physique is never worth a molecule that turns your own cells into furnaces. Any pill that promises to burn fat effortlessly is often burning something you cannot afford to lose. If a supplement sounds too powerful to be legal, it usually is. If someone you know is chasing a shortcut like this is the case to send them. And that is the story of how a young man chasing a six-pack cooked himself to death with a banned diet pill. This has